Aaron.
Here.
Why didn't you say it the first time I said Aaron?
Because it's pronounced Aaron?
You done messed up, Aaron!
I haven't used that intro for a little bit. Welcome back, everyone. Aaron is present with a little bit of an update on the Danny Masterson trial. I'm no longer covering it live from Los Angeles because I came back to Clearwater, Florida. And unfortunately, it's a bit of a non-update update. But because I haven't been doing videos, people have been asking me questions about it. So let me just give the non-update update. Today is day 6 of jury deliberations. And they actually haven't even started deliberating yet today because for whatever reason, the court's having a late start. I just don't know the reason. The jury begins deliberating at 1 p.m. Pacific time. That's not for almost another hour. And because they're starting late, they're ending late. They're only going to be deliberating for just over 2 hours today. Court ends at 4 p.m. No matter what. In the courthouse, I was told that at the judge's discretion, she can keep court open until about 5:30. Perhaps, apparently, all the sheriff's deputies on the floor wouldn't necessarily appreciate that. And I'm sure the judge doesn't necessarily, if you make an exception for one trial, what's to keep you from having to make exceptions for all trials, Guys, in the first Danny Masterson trial, the one that ended in a hung jury, a mistrial was declared, the jurors only deliberated for 3 days. And it's not like they were in there quiet for 3 days and came out after 3 days and said, we give up, we can't do it. The judge sent the jury back 2 or 3 times with instructions to continue deliberating. And even after sending them back those 2 or 3 times, their deliberations only lasted for 3 days. There is much we could make of the fact that they are now entering their 6th day of deliberation for a proceeding that was much, much better from the DA's perspective than the first proceeding. The evidence that was brought in was so much more damning. A brand new victim testified for the first time. A victim from Canada. A victim who was assaulted by Danny in Canada. Drugged and assaulted by Danny in Canada. That victim was never a Scientologist. That victim didn't even know who Danny Masterson was. Didn't even know he was an actor. Didn't even know his last name. Didn't know who had drugged her and attacked her until she was watching the movie Dracula 2000 and saw him on the screen and had a panic attack. That was new testimony. That was new evidence. Claire Headley testified in the trial as an expert witness on the subject of Scientology, on the ethics and justice, policies and procedures, on orders that came down. I'm going to forget what year it was. She testified that a new policy went into effect on a particular year, preventing certain words from being used in reports, internal Scientology reports that were going to be sent up lines to the higher level Scientology organizations because they didn't want these words existing in reports in the data files. Words such as, for example, the word rape. That was pretty damning testimony in my mind because some of the pieces of evidence that the jurors have to consider in this case are internal Scientology reports. And if you don't know the significance of those reports or why they're written the way they are, or why certain words are in there, why certain words aren't in there, then the reports don't quite have as much impact. The significance of the reports can easily go over the head of someone who doesn't understand the Scientology policies and procedures that are in play. That was devastating. The witnesses were put on in a sequence. The victims and the witnesses were put on in a sequence that made much more sense. A cohesive story, a chronological story that really was easy to follow was presented for the jurors in the closing arguments by Deputy DA Ariel Anson and also Deputy DA Mueller. The case itself was much, much better, and the deliberations are going on almost twice as long. What do you guys make of that? It is so because the earlier deliberations went on for as long as they did, and it resulted in a mistrial. I feel like there is a bit of a bias on my part and the part of others to go, oh, geez. The first deliberations ended in a mistrial, and that was only 3 days. Oh, we're 6 days into it. There's no hope now. I feel like there's a little bit of a bias in that direction. I'm not feeling that. I'm not feeling that. I go, they haven't even come out once so far and said, we're having trouble. They haven't. And in the first trial, they came out like day 1.5 and said that we're hopelessly deadlocked. So that means whatever's happening back there is going the way the jurors feel it should go. They're not coming out and saying, we need help. I'm feeling kind of good about it, guys. Now, my feelings and my opinions about this are worth as much as you guys have paid for it, which is, for most of you, zero. Anyone's opinion on this subject is pretty much worthless. It's pure speculation. Well, I wanted to use another word that might get me in trouble. So, but honestly, guys, because I've been doing nothing about it, I think I don't want people to get the impression I'm not paying attention. I am paying attention. I just sort of feel a little bad doing non-update updates. But I know, me and many others are just wringing our hands waiting for a verdict. And I don't know, maybe I'm just in a bit of a different headspace this morning. Yesterday, I was like, is there really any way this jury could come back with a conviction after all this time? And the answer is yes, of course there's still a way. Someone told me on the Weinstein trial, not the first one, but like the appeal or something. I have never really followed the Weinstein stuff very closely. That those jurors deliberated for 2 or 3 weeks before coming back with a guilty verdict. And there was four charges in that case, either 4 victims or 4 charges in that case, to the best of my knowledge. At least that's what was shared with me. Why in the world should we assume these deliberations aren't going well just because they're taking a long time? That is actually not a fair assumption. And that's kind of why I wanted to do this non-update update, just to put that out there. And guys, they start deliberating in about 45 minutes. They're only scheduled to deliberate for just over 2 hours. There's not a reason in the world they couldn't come back today with a guilty verdict. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just in a better mood this morning. I feel like that's what's going on. All right, let's see. A couple super chats here. Clearwater Chad, thanks for the updates. AA Run. Chad is grateful. Excellent. Good to see you, Chad. Let's see. Dan Mosqueda would like to get our lawyer friends Zach insight on 18 USC section 1510, which prohibits preventing witnesses and victims from reporting crimes or complying with law enforcement. Also, U.S. versus Moon case law. You know what? Every time I say I want to talk to my attorney friend Zach Morgan about that, I forget to write it down and I forget to follow up with him about that. But this would be a question like this. This is a perfect opportunity for me and Zach to do a simultaneous stream on his new channel and my channel at the same time and discuss something like this. I've got to go through my Twitter messages. There's someone else who I keep promising I'm going to ask Zach about such and such the next time we talk, and I always forget. So Dan, if you wouldn't mind, help me out. Shoot me an email at growingupinscientology@gmail.com with this thing so then I can forward it to Zach and say, hey, Zach, let's do a stream about this. Maybe we'll even do it today. That would be awesome. Thank you so much, Dan. Always good to see you in the chat. Pat Shore, off topic. I was watching Family Guy last night, an old one, and Stewie made friends with Tiny Tom Cruise. That's what they called him. And Tiny Tom Cruise said they would be friends for 1 billion years. I was laughing my butt off. I absolutely remember that episode. It is hilarious. If I can get around, if I can do it in accordance with fair use law, I would probably use Tiny Tom Cruise in some of my videos if I can figure it out. Thank you, Pat, for the super chat. Much appreciated. Oh, Joe Borders. Can you do another video where you read some of your old knowledge reports? The snitchy terminology was hilarious on the last one. Joe Borders, 100%. I will be doing that again. That's something I've got it on my list of video ideas. It's sort of fallen to the bottom because I keep adding new ideas to the top of the list. But I've told you guys, I have hundreds and hundreds of the reports that I wrote during my time in the Sea Org. It's an endless supply of amazing Scientology content. So yeah, I'll definitely get back to that. Thank you, Joe, very, very much. Rural SD Lawyer. The first trial was rigged from the beginning. It was never going anywhere, which is why there was so deadlocked, which is why they were so deadlocked so early. There is so much evidence. I'm not surprised they are still deliberating. That's a really good point, Rural SD Lawyer. That is a really good point. Let's see. Obi O'Brien. I emailed Claire the solo 2D assistant progress suggestion. It was fun hearing it last night. Well, Obi O'Brien, did you see it in the merch store? I have to double check. I haven't added all the items to the merch store. It's a pretty simple process. It just takes some time to do it. I thought it was still in there. I thought it was already in there. I'll post a link to the merch store in the video description. You'll see it in the description of the video for this one. Actually, it should already be there. But yeah, that was funny. I was like, I don't know that this is appropriate. I don't think I want that in the merch store. And Claire was like, Mark thinks it's hilarious. I was like, well, if Mark's okay with it, I'm okay with it. Okay, let's see. Next one here. Annie Kurtz says, maybe there is one holdout and the other jurors refuse to deadlock or mistrial, so they are working hard to convince others of the truth, unlike the last Church of Scientology shill juror. That's totally possible as well, that they're just, that it's very, very lopsided right now, one or two holdouts, and so they're like, this is worth continuing. So there you go. I like that. Positive thinking. Let's see. Lana, 1974. Hi, Aaron. Thank you for your incredible work. If this disgusting man is found guilty of just one of 3 points and doesn't go to jail, will he be considered innocent or guilty on parole? He will be considered innocent if he is only found guilty on one of the charges. That's my understanding. We can double check with my attorney friend, Zach Morgan. But I'm almost positive. Thank you for the super chat. Lori McCorkle with a super sticker. Lauro Imperial with why does the jury get tomorrow off? You know, I think it has more to do with the court's schedule. It's not, the jurors have not requested the day off. This was something that already came up a couple weeks ago. I don't know if it's because there's another hearing that needs to take place. No, that wouldn't make sense. Who cares if there's another hearing? If the jury's back there deliberating, who cares, right? So that's not the reason. But I do know it's not because of the jury. It's because of the court. That's all I do know. Thank you, Loro Imperial. Selfness Self says, is Scientology spinning this trial for Scientologists, or are they trying to sweep it under the rug? Do you know if Scientology is working the press? They're totally trying to sweep it under the rug. It would be considered spreading en theta or interbulation is how Scientology would call it, if Scientologists were talking amongst themselves about this trial. Would Scientologists be allowed to speaking privately about this trial in their own homes? Sure. That wouldn't necessarily be considered an offense. But anybody speaking about any of this in a Scientology organization would be in trouble. Staff members would be instructed not to discuss it with the public. They're not trying to spin it. I mean, okay, if someone were to go, if a Scientologist were to go to their local director of special affairs, the head of the head of the Office of Special Affairs, the person is called the DSA, and ask about this trial, the DSA would spin it to the public as an attack by SPs, a conspiracy by Leah Remini, 100%. But it's not like they're issuing broad proclamations about it. They want people to shut the F up about all this kind of stuff. So thank you for the super chat and the questions, Selfless Self. K. McN. After we take away Scientology's tax exempt status, can we go after the Mormon church? I grew up in that cult. I got to tell you, I get in a lot of trouble on my channel anytime I bring any other groups into the conversation. There's a lot of Mormons who watch my channel and think Mormonism is great and Scientology is horrible. That's fine. However, as a former Scientologist, I know that former Mormons and former Jehovah's Witnesses very much resonate with the stories of former Scientologists. And I know that former Mormons and former JWs tend to think of Mormonism and JW as a cult. I'm being very long-winded about this. I am sensitive to the sensitivities of others regarding their own groups, their own whatevers. And therefore I focus my conversation about Scientology. I guess I'm only saying all that because I don't want to be like, yeah, let's get the Mormons next. I'm not about going after groups other than Scientology. That's Scientology is the group I grew up in. Scientology is the group I've seen try to destroy my life, my wife's life, our family's lives, my friends' lives. That's my focus. If other people want to go after the Mormons, that is up to them. And yeah, did I treat that question appropriately, everyone? I think I did. Jen Nelson, are you still in real estate? Oh, for sure. I mean, if you mean, am I still a licensed real estate agent? Yes. You know, I for many years, I've been just a real estate investor on my own. And then I decided I wanted to open a real estate brokerage firm. I don't actually have any, grand dreams of being like the #1 realtor. I was never actually interested in being a realtor. What I wanted to have was a real estate brokerage firm. And then I found out in the state of Florida, in order to become licensed as a real estate broker, you have to be active as a real estate agent for 2 years. So I went and I got my license, and I do real estate because I have a license. Why not? If anyone wants to buy or sell anything in the Tampa Bay area or even Orlando or Miami or anything, you can email me at aaron@dreamrealty.com. And I'll be happy to work with you. Or just, I mean, you can email me at growingupinscientology@gmail.com either. It doesn't really matter. I will always be in real estate. Real estate's always going to be around. So I will always be in real estate. Thank you for the question, Jen. Thank you for the opportunity to plug the real estate business. Harriet Pryor, first super chat, French Dipper from the UK. Fantastic. Love you, Ron. Fantastic. You know, I've been back in town for a few months. I haven't even had any time to go out and find my best local French dip sandwich shop. But as soon as I get a little more settled, I will do just that. Thank you, Harriet. Let's see. Gigi, are you aware of any Scientologist deaths whose investigations remain deferred and are never concluded? Or if concluded, what the outcome was like toxicology reports? Let me think about this. Scientologist deaths. Most Scientologist deaths are from cancer or suicide. The suicide ones get covered up all the time. Let's see. Scientologist deaths whose investigations remain deferred. No, I don't know of any whose investigations, like the case is still open, like it's a cold case, like it's suspicious. No, I don't know any of that. And I know there's some Scientology suicides that are suspected to really be murders, but I don't buy into all that. I don't buy into that. And you know, it's like anyway, and are never and remain deferred and are never concluded. Nope, I don't know any like that. Or if concluded, what was the outcome like? Oh, well, I mean, the outcome of the investigations are just whatever the circumstances were. It's usually I know of a recent Scientology suicide that was never reported. That I have it in my notes somewhere. I've been meaning to do a video about it, and this suicide was directly, I'm sorry, it wasn't a suicide. It was a death. The person had lupus. The person had lupus or one of these autoimmune diseases. And a Scientology official convinced this person to stop taking the medication that had been keeping them alive. I'm not kidding you guys. I'm not kidding. This information comes to me directly from the inside. The person was convinced that the medication, they needed to stop taking the medication. They stopped taking the medication. Their condition deteriorated rapidly. By the time they started taking the medication again, it was too late, and the person died. This was a young person. This was a young adult, late 20s, early 30s, early 40s max. So that's an example of a death that, if investigated, would have been concluded, and there would have been a toxicology report or whatever, but it would not have reflected Scientology's involvement in that person's death. So anyway, I think I've answered that question. Thank you very much. I do appreciate it. Lily Rose, can you explain what happened to that juror who lied on his form to get on the jury last year that caused a mistrial? Love your channel. Lily Rose, the only reason I'm not going to do that right now, I've literally spent an hour or two discussing this in some prior videos. So right off the top of my head, I don't remember the names of the videos. Otherwise, I would just tell you right now what to search for on my channel. But yes, Lily, if you email me, growingupinscientology@gmail.com, I will quickly look up the videos and I'll send you the link because I can find them easily. It might be harder for you to find them. And because, I don't want to ignore your question, but if you email me, I'll send you a link. So appreciate that. Okay. Red Tar for me. Thank you very, very much. Marilyn Honig. Always good to see you, Marilyn. Thank you for the encouragement to have hope that justice for the Jane Does may still be done. Whatever the outcome, we all know the truth. Yes. 100%. Absolutely. TLM, is Danny a flight risk? I don't think Danny is a flight risk. Being a celebrity, I mean, Danny's not a big celebrity, but I believe the government has determined he's not a flight risk. And if that is what they determined, whether I'm making that up or not, I would agree with their determination. Red tier for me, is the jury sequestered? So, I'm sorry, red tar for me. So they're not sequestered in the full meaning of the word. I mean, my understanding, if you're sequestered, you don't even go home at night. You live in a hotel. You've got security personnel keeping any communications back and forth are monitored. The jury was put into, there were some extra safety protocols that were put into place where instead of them going down to the cafeteria in the courtroom and eating with everyone else, they were provided lunch for free and ate in a private area in the back, the private quarters, like back near where they deliberate. Or maybe they were just eating in the deliberation room. Lunch would be delivered to them. When they come and go from the courthouse, they are not coming and going with everyone else coming up in the elevators. They're brought up in a private entrance, and that was so that that was so that they weren't going to have any potential interaction with either pro Scientology people or anti Scientology people. It's funny. I remember when defense attorney Philip Cohen was complaining that these new procedures that were put in place, Your Honor, the jurors are going to think they're being protected from Scientology, and Scientology didn't do anything. The judge was like, you should be happy that these safety procedures have been put in place. They're not only protected, they're protected from both anti-Scientologists and pro-Scientologists. And she said, by the way, of which there are plenty of both of those in this courtroom right now. So you should be thanking me, not complaining. So yeah, not officially sequestered. Gina T, I think your daughter's lyrics are, oh, dancing by my love. Yeah, nobody knows. Nobody knows what those lyrics are. I even asked her, I mean, she's like 12 years old now. That video was a long time ago. I even asked her what she thought she was saying in the video. She's like, I have no idea. All right. Natalie Swanson goes, maybe the jury has already completed and found 2 victims guilty and or found him guilty for 2 of the victims and are having trouble with the 3rd victim. Positive thoughts. Thanks for all you do. Yes, that's definitely one of the many possibilities. Thank you, Natalie. Much appreciated. Lady Veritas. No one's going to accept a drink from Danny Masterson again. Yes, indeed. Lori McCorkle. Did you give your press pass to anyone? Lori, I didn't, only because nobody asked. Nobody asked if they wanted, if I would give them my press pass. And also, my God, I would feel so bad if anyone took my press pass and literally spent the last 4 days just sitting in an empty courtroom waiting for the jury to say something and nothing is there. That being said, there is someone in the courtroom who is there, not necessarily for me, but is sharing information with me about all of the nothing that is going on. So, and the real understand, guys, the press pass, all it does is allow you to use your computer in the courtroom. That is it. And there's so little going on, there's no need for a computer. So anyway, that's the full answer to the question. Thank you, Lori. Much appreciated. Joshua Lavacek. Going into work right now, just want to say thank you for all you do for us, Aaron. Well, thank you very much, Josh. I really appreciate that. Lois Nell. Hi, my first time sending stickers ever. Greetings from South Africa. Well, that's awesome, Lewis. Wait, did I say Lewis? Lewis Nell. Yeah, that's great. So what you just sent, Lewis, is called a super chat. A super sticker is when you don't ask a question. And I never actually truly understand why people do super stickers. Why not? You get more for your money if you ask a question or make a comment, kind of like Fran Lafreniere right here. Like, Fran, you spent $4.99 to send a super sticker, but for the exact same $4.99, you can say something or ask a question. To each their own. I'm just saying, get more bang for your buck, maybe, and do a super chat. But thank you anyway, Fran. Much appreciated. Okay, Lauro Imperial says, have you seen Beethoven 2? Ironically, Danny Masterson plays the role of the respectful boyfriend. Lauro, I haven't seen Beethoven 2. I heard it was a cinematic masterpiece. I'll have to put it on my list. However, do you remember Danny Masterson's role in Face Off, the movie with John Travolta and Nicolas Cage? Danny has a role in that movie that's, I don't know, 1 or 2 minutes, 3 minutes at the most, where he pulls up to John Travolta's house. John Travolta, they've already done the swap. So it's John Travolta's house, but it's John Travolta playing Nicolas Cage. Danny Masterson pulls up in like a Camaro or whatever, and he's with John Travolta's movie daughter, and he sexually assaults her in the car. And John Travolta, as Nicolas Cage, comes out and beats the shit out of Danny Masterson right there in the driveway. How about that? That is a clip that did age well. Thank you for the super chat, Lauro Imperial. Kiara Keating. Kiara or Chiara, we'll never know. My sister-in-law was given Dianetics book while walking in London. I had great pleasure sending her your way for the truth. Saved from a cult. Love SPTV. Wow. I wonder when that was. Was that recently? That is well, it must have been recently because you sent her our way for the truth. That is incredible. Given a Dianetics book, really, not even sold a Dianetics book. I think your sister's not telling you everything. I think she actually bought it. Scientologists will never give away their books. She might have actually bought that book, but that's okay. That's okay. Redemption came later. Okay, Batgoat with a super sticker. Thank you so much. Is Bijou Phillips also a Scientologist? Asks Texas Brit Gal, is how I'm choosing to interpret this one. Yes, Bijou Phillips is actually a Scientologist. It's really weird. I don't think her sisters are. I don't think any of her sisters' spouses are. I don't think anyone else in the Phillips family is, but Bijou Phillips is most definitely a Scientologist. All right, guys, that is all we have for now. I have so much more I want to do today, as I hope time will allow. Let me see. Another one came in right here under the radar. You are right. 100% focus on the Church of Scientology. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much. That's all. I don't like it when those names are there. Aaron. Anyway, deal with that later. Sorry, guys. Aaron, how are you staying updated with things happening in the trial from home? Is there some sort of live feed we can read? There's nothing happening. That was the update. That's how I'm able to stay updated, because there's nothing happening. Here we go. Kiara nailed it the first time. Yes, this was 2 weeks ago, and she said it was given. She said she was given it, but Cyborg Scientology says, how did you land your first hedge fund position? You know what? We're going to save that story for another time. It is a good story, and I do like to tell it. But I got to cut it here, guys. We can't keep going. Thank you to everyone for watching. Stay tuned, guys. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Stay tuned. Much more to come today. Thanks to everyone who watches until the very end, and I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not, subscribe.